And the first event we've got up is the Wyfold Challenge Cup.
Yes, this is the Wyfold Challenge Cup for coxless fours. As we have a look up here on the start, the umpire's launch is in position. Sat in the front of that launch will be the supporters who have come over here from Norway and from Australia, from Sydney. We'll see their crews in a second, but they're sitting down there having quiet, friendly conversations as their nerves, I'm sure, will be jangling. We can see the start marks here, that V and that stick that the steers people will use to steer these boats. So this is the final of the Wyfold Challenge Cup between this crew from Oslo in Norway and the Sydney Rowing Club in Australia. Sydney in the foreground. Here we see them in this powder blue kit. And we'll take a look at the crew from Oslo in a second.
It's an all-international final here in the Wyfold Challenge Cup. One from Europe, one from the Antipodean.
Other side of the world they've come. So this is the crew from Norway. This crew, Oslo, very enthusiastic supporters of Henley Royal Regatta. This crew were all finalists in the Thames Cup in 2018. This year they've put together this coxless four, of course, one of them steering it with their foot. So we could have a few moves around the course as we go off the start.
This definitely has been one to keep the umpires busy throughout the week. We've had quite a few interesting lines taken by the steers, persons from both of these crews.
And the crews look like they're ready, and here we go. We get away in this first final of finals day at Henley Royal Regatta. And we have a look here at this crew from Sydney Rowing Club getting away pretty smoothly.
Yeah, Alex Potter in the stroke seat, setting a really nice rhythm in these very nerve-wracking few strokes for both of these crews. Not only the first race of finals day, but it's also the first race at the regatta for a couple of these members.
And what you get being the first race of the day is the water's still pretty calm, it's still pretty quiet, and you can see this crew from Norway making the most of those conditions coming up the island. And I'd say the crews in this pitch are pretty much side by side. If anything, a small advantage to the crew from Australia, as we see this pattern that you see where they just have such a lovely rhythm. The hands just come in and it's really quiet, and then they relax on the way forwards, getting really nice length. Alex Potter in that stroke seat, backed up by Alex Nicol. The two of them learned their rowing at Newington College in Sydney when they were at school together, now at Sydney Rowing Club, and trying to just eke out, see if they can get half a length by the time they get to the quarter mile.
The Sydney crew, half Aussies, half Brits in the bow pair. We've got the British pairing of the two Oscars, Oscar Olsen, Oscar Carl Middleton there. One from King's College, Wimbledon, the other from Eton. And very used to coming down this track in their schoolboy days. But those first few nervous strokes out of the way now in this final of the Wyfold Challenge Cup, and Sydney out to 3/4 of a length over the finalists in the Thames Cup last year. Oslo, as we've already mentioned, tons of experience in that boat, and they won't be phased by being at 3/4 of a length down at this point in the race. We've still got a long way to go.
There is still a long way to go for this crew from Oslo. Taking a little look to their left there. Yesterday they came up against another Australian crew. That time it was Mercantile from Melbourne, and they were behind, but they managed to stay in there and hung in through this middle part of the race, and then were able to come back and come through. So this is not unfamiliar territory for the crew on the right in the red and white from Oslo, as we look at that tidy looking blade work from the crew from Sydney.
Very tidy crew here, coached by Franz Imfeld on your picture. He's won Henley twice before with Molesey as a coach in both the Thames and the Wyfold as well, so he's already got a Wyfold crew title to his name. He's been coaching in Australia for the last couple of years. He got up at Yarra to the semi-finals last year, so looking to go one better here for a win in the final with this Sydney crew.
These crews look like they might just be coming together in the centre of the course. The Sydney crew about 37 strokes a minute. Oslo to me look like they've wandered off the station a little bit. Don't know if they've just got pulled in slightly by the bow wave of the Sydney boat. If that Sydney boat's got enough of a lead, then it starts to affect the crew behind them. I just wonder whether the Oslo crew want to make a correction right now.
We did talk a lot about the steering off the start of this race, but we are looking now at the umpire who is warning the Sydney crew to get back onto their station, onto the Buckinghamshire station. That is going to be the responsibility of the steersperson, which is Potter at stroke. He sits at the front of the boat setting the rhythm, but he's also got the steering to think about as well, Greg.
And I can see Matthew Pinsent there with the flag in his right hand. That flag has been up for quite a long time. He's now just put the flag down. The Sydney crew has responded, but that wasn't the quickest of responses that the umpire wants to see.
No, and we've seen a lot of crews fall victim to that this week, not responding quick enough to the umpire when asked to move over. We've seen crews in both the Cox's boats and the Cox boats really struggling with the conditions, but Sydney have just broken clear water. That was a fantastic move through the middle part of this race for the crew from Australia.
Well, you can see they're trying to make the most of it. They're trying to get a little bit of clear water. They're trying to then push those puddles down towards the Oslo crew, but Matthew Pinsent hasn't let them get away with it. They know this Oslo crew came back yesterday, so will they come back again today as we see them taking a little look over his shoulder? Patrick Stewart in the bow seat took a look over his shoulder. He's wandering off his station still, isn't he? What do you think of this steering?
Yeah, I think this Oslo crew are going to have to make a response. Pinsent's not called it yet from the umpire's seat, and you can see there from the pictures that they have drifted over ever so slightly, but in fact Sydney also coming towards the middle here, and that's the danger in these Coxless crews. When you're within a length, it's so hard to think about the steering, the race pace, and it's going to have thrown these crews.
It could throw the crews. We can see Matthew Pinsent again warning the Sydney crew. Again, the crew have responded. They've got back towards their station, so the flag goes away again. But this is turning into a real little joust through this middle stage of the race.
And as we're coming towards the enclosures now, you can see the mile signal there in the background. The Oslo crew have still got contact, and we've seen crews row from far further back down through to win events like this in finals of Henley Royal Regatta. They've got about a length and a quarter to try and make up on this very young Australian crew. They've done so well here. There's three of the crew that are under 20 or under in that boat. So what an impressive performance from them.
Well, they're going to need maturity now coming into the stewards' enclosure. They're going to need to stay calm, because the crew from Oslo are going to look to sprint. They're going to look to pick up the pace in front of the grandstand. A Coxless 4, we know you can change the speed quite quickly by doing something right. You can also change the speed quite quickly if something goes wrong. But now you can see Henley Town in the background. The finish line is coming, but it's still about 2 minutes away.
All four of the Oslo crew there all looked over their shoulder at the same time to try and find Sydney, to find the line. They've still got about 30 strokes to go. You can see the progress board in the background, and up goes the ratings from both crews.
Well, there's still time to go. Oslo has started to jack it up. They're at 38, 39 strokes a minute. I'm taking them at. Will this race course run out? They'll be feeling the crowd. The crowd are going crazy for them. Look at the Oslo crew going for it. But we're coming down towards the line. This is the one on the progress board. There's probably 10 strokes left after this. Sydney have still got that little bit of clear water. They're coming down. Oslo doing all that they can, trying to lift the rate, trying to lift the power. Matthew Pinsent still steering the Sydney crew back. It'll be interesting to see what happens after the end of this race, but we see the Sydney Rowing Club crew cross the line in front of the crew from the Norske Studenters Roklub in Norway. I will wait to have a look at Matthew Pinsent before I declare a result on this race. He has the white flag in his hand. Is he going to raise that flag? He looks as though he will.
Yeah, there it is. There's the white flag. Huge effort there from the crew from Sydney. Really young crew, 18, 19, 20 years old to be winning Henley Royal Regatta. What a feeling for them. And what a great win for Coach Frans Infeld.
A great win indeed it was. We see it confirmed there in the Wyfold Challenge Cup. A win for Sydney Rowing Club from Australia. So what a start to the morning. All the nerves were jangling up at the start, but the Sydney crew got away. Norway stayed with them pretty effectively, and what beautiful conditions they had to row in the first race of the day.
No, nice cool conditions, a nice breeze blowing them down the course, and although a few steering issues there, you can see on the replay that Matthew Pinsent with a lot of work to do early in the morning, but no calamities, and a nice clean race for the first race of the day.
It was a clean race in the end, wasn't it? They kept Matthew Pinsent busy, as Coxless 4s often do in the Wyfold, these club crews, but they did enough The Sydney crew responded when they needed to, and they can celebrate and enjoy this victory, the first of the day at Henley Royal Regatta 2019.